The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Monday. Another week in paradise begins the day before Super Tuesday.
It's definitely going to be an interesting day tomorrow, and even the people are starting to get riled up. And, the predictions are already out on who's going to win. And I guess currently in the polls, you're looking at Trump coming in as the leader of the pack, which is not to be surprising, for sure.
Yeah, it's not surprising, yeah.
But on the Democratic side, this could be a make or break it for Bernie Sanders. And he has a lot of supporters, but again, what are they looking for, and how are they going to get it? And then again, the Democratic Party is all these super delegates anyhow, so
yeah,
we already know.
Yeah, they basically already said they don't care if Sanders gets the nomination or not, he's not going to get it.
Right, exactly.
The super delegates are going to just take the... See, this is going to... the super delegates are all hoping that he gets blown away in Super Tuesday, which it looks like, because he's really not, for some reason, not resonating in the black community. I don't... I think there are a lot of reasons. I think that the one that Hillary's from a southern state, and her husband had a very good rapport with the black community, well, he's just not resonating with that community. So he's not going to do well in the South. But they're happy because everybody's going to forget, because Hillary got the nomination from the people, that they weren't going to allow the people to make that decision anyway. And that's one of the things that really bothers me. It's the same with Trump. I mean, they've pulled out all the stops with Trump now. Everybody's attacking him. Even on a news show, he was attacked for using a quote from Benito Mussolini, and they were horrified because they said, "Oh, you're using a quote from a fascist." Well, he said, "Well, I just want to be known as someone who likes good quotes." Well, but he should have said that, no, the fact is, it's not who made the quote, it's if the quote's appropriate. And I actually looked it up on Goodreads just before the show began, and it is tagged that it is better to live one day as a lion than 100 years as a sheep. And the tag is fascist, and then it says inspirational, because irrespective of who said that, what the quote basically means is that live your life, pick a side, live like a lion, grab life by the throat, live with some gusto. Don't be, don't live your life like a, like a slug and just sit there and let people pile crap on you. Become a participant in life, not an observer. It's better to live one day as a lion than be a sheep. And, that's true. And you know something? If the people in this country began to live like lions and said, let's not let these people make our decisions, let's get involved in politics, because they don't want you. They want you to be frustrated and disgusted. And guess what? It's very difficult not to be. But the reality is, you get up and get off your duff, vote. I mean, I'm probably going to vote in a Republican. I very rarely vote in a primary, but this election's so much fun. I'm going to probably vote in a Republican primary, because the Democratic primary is basically a foregone conclusion, because even if Sanders wins, he's not going to win because of the super delegates, and they're going to, the Democratic Party's not going to let, hoping that people are reminded that they don't really care what the people say, they're going to pick the delegate. And you know something, I'm tired of political correctness. You're worried about who made the quote rather than what it means. So, you know, I don't care. We quote Goebbels all the time. That doesn't make me a Nazi, although some people did say we were Nazis. but I mean, that's, you know, I don't care. You know, the fact is that if a quote's appropriate, it's appropriate. You know, you don't have to only quote people who you feel are in your political spectrum. If a quote is applicable, if it means something, and it means something good, I mean, you know, we quote Genghis Khan. You know, he wasn't the greatest guy in the world if you were one of the villages that took over and wiped every man, woman, and child out if you didn't succumb to his rule. So, look, you know, my thing is there's way too much political correctness in the world. Let's be morally correct. Let's be correct, and let's be correct as far as being human beings and get the government that we deserve. And only we can get that government. Only through our action can we control the government. As long as you let these clowns tell us what to do, buy us with commercials and sound bites and not look at the information, it's going to stay the same. And, you know, we've proven in Fall River people are beginning to pay attention, and it's going to become epidemic. We've got to have an epidemic of this, because the only way we're ever going to change this country is for everybody. And Bernie Sanders, whether you like him or dislike him, and he's another big label, socialist. Get out the garlic cloves. He's a socialist. Doesn't matter what he is, he's right. You know, the 1% of this country will run this country until the 99% get off their butts and puts a government in that is responsive to what we want, whether it's on the local level, the state level, or the federal level.
Well, you know, it's very true, Chip, and I think the people's voice is starting to be heard. And if the Democratic Party does not listen to the majority of their leadership and their voters, I think what's going to happen here is that there'll be a revolt amongst the Democratic Party, and they're going to have some major issues. Because obviously, if the people say we want Bernie Sanders, but the super delegates, which basically makes up the leadership of the Democratic Party, say no, we want Hillary Clinton, then you don't have a Democratic Party, you have a fascist party.
Fascist, you can't say that. Don't say that word.
I said the F word. Oh, my God.
F word. Not the F word. You can say that, though. The FCC will let you say that F word.
Exactly.
But it's not politically correct. You can't be a fascist or a socialist or any kind of ist, you know?
Exactly. But it gets to be interesting. But, you know, we had a very interesting week last week, and we have another interesting week coming up.
Ah, yes.
Because, you know, the Hassenfeld or the Hassenfeld or whatever you want to call it, Institute had their assembly of miscreants known as department heads and elected officials from Fall River. And the mayor was very free on posting the pictures of all the department heads on Friday. But there were no pictures of any elected officials on Saturday.
Yeah, because he didn't want to show the violations.
Well, and I said that in my column. I said, I wonder if this is to avoid any questions of quorums or 30A violations, because interestingly enough, you know, they were adamant that they weren't going to do that. But when I spoke to the Hassenfeld Institute, they said, oh no, this is closed, the public is not invited, and the media cannot come because all of our information is proprietary, and we cannot have that information leaked. What is this, a nuclear secret? I mean, you know, is this a top secret
I think it's a seminar on how to pretend to be a government when in fact you're a dictatorship.
Yeah, you know,
that's what it's about.
Yep.
It's about getting these people together so again they can have another excuse for what they do. Well, we had a seminar and it's good for everybody to sit in a room and learn how to get along so we can all hold hands and make backroom deals and then justify it to say, you know, if you have a different idea, you're negative and you're anti-Fall River, and they can put all the labels on you because, you know, heaven forbid that we have a different idea. And what happens is when everybody is on the same page, the page never turns.
Right, and
that's the key. That's the reason Fall River has gotten worse, not better, no matter what happened. We never learn. Nobody ever, there's always a majority of bobbleheads in our government that will nod their head and use that as an excuse. Oh, we can't fight with the man. Why not? Why not? The Republican Party fights with the Democratic Party. The legislative branch fights with the president. The Supreme Court fights with everybody. They make the final opinion. That's what this country was built upon, tripartite system. We have 3 checks and balances, although they don't really work. But it's about debate.
You mean you actually want people to think?
Well, we continue, we say...
You want people to not have their own opinions?
You know, we say on this show, how many times to remind people that everybody talks about America and what America is. Well, when America was formed, there were nearly fist fights, duels. People almost got shot.
And they did get shot.
And they did get shot by the British. But I mean, some of the most contentious debate that ever took place was when the Patriots, who would have been terrorists if we would have lost the war to England, when the Patriots were talking about leaving England and creating our own nation. I mean, there were people that called them traitors. They wanted them hung. They wanted to have duels. They almost had fights. And it was some of the most contentious debate in the world. But look what it ended up with. Look what it ended up being. It ended up being the freest nation in the world. And this is yeah, well, it's only free when we let the government make the government let us be free, but they let us think we're free. Paper, plastic, or green bags is our only real choice. And and we have to overthrow this idea that everybody has to agree. And the other thing is that everybody that's not an elected official is stupid, because that we're not. You got some information from a fairly reliable source that an elected commissioner, charter commissioner, actually said that the people don't know what they want. They're stupid. It's up to us to do. And in reality, before you start, because I know you're going to do this, and in reality, that nitwit is not doing anything because they hired an outside consultant to do their job.
Yeah, $40,000 worth of an outside consultant. And the thing that gets me, and I haven't got a second confirmation on it, so I don't want to reveal the individual's name, but that attitude is pervasive amongst all our elected bodies, whether it be mayor, city council, school committee, Congress. The people don't know. We do. We set the government, not the people. That has been the attitude that has gotten us to the position that we're in today. And this is the big problem. I'm a highly intelligent individual. You're a highly intelligent individual. We know what we're talking about. Yet, when we bring them the facts and you put them on paper, and I'm going to call out, the city council at this point now, and you say, no, look, there is a standard. This is it. This is the NFPA 17 standard, revised in 2010. And it shows that Fall River needs to have a minimum manning of 5 firefighters on each engine. Well, it doesn't have any numbers. What am I going to do? Print it in billboard-sized numbers? And I wrote in my column this weekend that even the fire union is like, well, we have to get our membership to, approve of pushing this forward. Now, I can't think of any firefighter who wouldn't support a manning standard so that they're safe, so that they can fight fire efficiently. You would know, Chip, you've been there. And I know that the NFPA 1710 standard might be a little too broad for Fall River. But you know what? It's at least a point to start working from.
Well, let me say something about the 1710. The 1710 is extremely accurate. It took years for that standard to be written. The International Association of Fire Chiefs also had to agree. It's not even as stringent as it should be. But the reality is they've done thousands and thousands of studies of 4-man crews versus 3-man crews versus 5-man crews. And the bottom line is a 3-man crew just isn't adequate. It's not nowhere near as effective. And the minimum standard, as I said before, for staffing on an engine or a ladder truck or a rescue unit is four men. That's the minimum. And that is, and you saw it because you sent it to the city council, there's also a clarification. A 4-man crew is the recommended minimum staffing for a fire company responding to a single-family, 2-story, single-family house with no basement and no serious exposures or other issues. Now, you find me that house in Fall River. You find me, you may have a few 2-story single-family houses, but I don't think you can find one without a basement. And technically, by the NFPA definition, most of Fall River and their three deckers and their exposures create a high hazard area. And in reality, the minimum staffing is supposed to be 5. And I've been fighting that battle for years. I tried to get the 1710 standard in effect years ago. And the city didn't want to do it, you know, because of the money. We did have a time when we could meet that standard when I first got on the job. But then again, money always trumps public safety. The only time public safety becomes a talked about issue and staffing becomes a talked about issue is when we need money. Because the only time they worry about firefighters is when they want to use them as human shields to raise taxes. And that's what's innately wrong, and that's why an ordinance like this should be passed. We should remove fire and police from the political arena. They should not be used. You know, if these idiots, and I'm saying idiots again, if they can't, if they don't have the courage to make public safety a true priority and make it the first place we put our money, not the last place, and every time they create a ton of jobs and spend and waste a lot of money by rehiring the neighborhood liaison, another useless political position that will live in infamy forever, and all the assistants, and now we have a new grant writer who's a buddy, and they do all this stuff, and then budget time will come and they'll say, oh, Christ, you know, we gotta, you know, we're short, and if we don't get this tax, we have to get this tax raise, otherwise we'll lose fire and police. Nah. Let's lose the neighborhood liaison. Let's lose all the jobs that have been created. Let's get rid of the financial team in either the school department or the city side, because we got 2 of them being paid. Now we're creating more. Let's get rid of all the redundancies. Let's get rid of all the fat. And let's make this city a lean, mean fighting machine. Let's put our money where it belongs, to services that are directed to the people. And let's let government be as small as possible. The mayor's getting money to administer the city. The mayor's position has evolved into a ceremonial position. He doesn't run anything. He's got a city administrator, which is code for city manager. They've got department heads running all the departments. So realistically, what does the mayor do? Except give a couple of speeches, call a couple of press conferences. He basically continues to run for office from the day he's elected to get reelected, because he's free to do that.
And that's what this guy does all the time.
And, you know, the reality is, I said it 20 years ago, and now I know you're saying it now. The reality is, this city needs a Type B charter.
Yes.
We need a city manager. We don't need a mayor. You know, Worcester is the 2nd largest city in the state, or is it Springfield? I don't know. Springfield or Worcester? I think it's Worcester.
It's Worcester, I believe.
Worcester is, I believe, the 2nd largest city in the state. They've got a mayor. It's a ceremonial position. He gets a ceremonial stipend of like $20,000 for being the mayor. But they have a city manager. And when you have a city manager, guess what? We don't have these problems. Because this guy isn't a politician. He's a manager. And if the city's not being managed right, guess what? You get to fire his butt. Because his job is only to make sure that the money is being spent properly. And if he doesn't, it's not about politics.
And you know, Chip, this really gets me, burns my backside, because I sent to the Charter Commission the Worcester Charter, Type E Home Rule Charter, okay? Very clearly laid out everything, and it's perfect. Do you know what they gave for a reason why they can't have ward councils? And I know you're against ward councilors, but it's not even about having ward councils or not. It's about the reason. It's not because it's ineffective. It's not because, you know, it's going to create bias or it's going to give representation to coalitions, or it's going to create leaders that are just effective for their ward. No, it's because, well, we'd have to buy new furniture for the city council chamber.
Well, yeah, but they didn't worry when they didn't worry when they spent like $5,000 for a couch in one of the offices. And not only that, like I said, look, they don't want to do it because it's political suicide. You know, these people are in with the mayor and with all the cronies that have got jobs. If you go to an e-charter and the manager just needs a small office staff.
That's right.
And he doesn't need a chief of staff, and he doesn't need a special assistant. So if you look at the mayor's salary dropping from 100 and whatever it is,
120, I believe,
120 down to 20, even less because Worcester gets 20. Our city's like a quarter of the size, a third of the size. So let's say we give him 20 grand for being a ceremonial position. We saved $100,000 on him. We saved $45,000 on his special assistant. We saved, I don't know, almost $100,000 on his chief of staff. So I think we could buy furniture because it's a one-time cost. I think what we save by going to an e-charter is way better. And not only that, it's effective. It's more efficient. We've taken politics out of the running of the city. We have put the city squarely in the hands of a man whose only job is to manage the finances of this city correctly. And then the other arm of government, the council, oversees that.
That's right.
But he has one mission, and it's not to run for public office, and it's not to give his friends jobs. It's to run the city effectively and efficiently. Otherwise, he gets his ass thrown out the door.
Oh, my God. You mean accountability?
Accountability.
Oh, my God.
And if you read most of the laws in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that have to do with 32B, et cetera, you'll see the first line says, and blah, 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 except in Worcester, because Worcester, because of its form of government, is virtually, you know, they know that it's being run completely differently than the other charters. So, but they'll never consider that in this city because this city is the biggest employment agent in the city. The city is the biggest employment agent.
And you know what the worst part about all of it is? I actually researched how many cities in Massachusetts have a Type A charter, Type A, okay? And what's interesting is we have 351 cities and towns, 11. This is how effective a Type A charter is.
Yeah, but
11.
That's why we've got it, and we're number one. That's right. We're number one in the A charter. So, but you know, the reality is you take Worcester out with an E, so it's even less. But I mean, like you said, if you look at it, that's how effective this thing is because over the years, the politicians have managed to politicize the mayor's office so much that it's become impotent. The reality is the mayor doesn't do anything except politic. And that's the reason that Carlton Viveris created the city administrator.
Right.
It was like, shit, why should I waste my time trying to run the city? Between the department heads and the city administrator, I don't have to do anything. Yeah. I don't have a job. I can just have press conferences and cut ribbons and have a good time.
Yep.
And then it's evolved now. And then on top of the city administrator, then we ended up with a chief of staff, which was another political position. It was a way of, it was like calling a janitor, a sanitary engineer to give him a pay raise. It just so happened that the mayor's secretary also had a personal relationship with the mayor, and in order to justify a massive pay raise for her, they created this position. It sounds like, wow, this is like federal. It's like presidential. Chief of staff. You know, the chief of staff in a city where almost nobody, almost nobody has any discretionary money, but let's have a chief of staff.
The worst part about all of it is that I did in 6 hours what this charter commission has yet to even accomplish in 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. How long has it been? They took their oath in December. So, 10, 12 weeks. But of course, you'll have people out there that support the infamous, I got to say 8, because there's only one standout who actually wants, to do a job. That's Dan Robillard. Because the other 8 just all, Mike says how high, and they all go, yay! It's...
well, I'm going to tell you something. Kudos to Dan. As I said, he's always been a man who votes his conscience and his mind, and whether you agree or disagree with him, you have to respect the fact that he does it. But I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to be perfectly frank, I'm not going to vote for this charter change, because I didn't vote, go in the voting booth and put an X for charter commissioners for them to pawn their duty off on a consultant. It's my personal opinion. You guys can do anything you want. But I'm going to tell you something. The fact is that I elected Fall River people to deal with the Fall River Charter. If I wanted some political hack that's worked in a whole bunch of other cities and is politically connected and is doing some other work in the city now too, some guy that walks around charging $40,000 to copy things from the Massachusetts Constitution and from other places and use 85% boilerplate language. I mean, what the hell? I mean, you couldn't do that yourself?
Chip, you and I could do it for $20,000.
Yeah, I mean,
and go on vacation.
I mean, we can copy things from we can cut and paste too. But this is the thing. This is the thing that bothers me. Everything we do in this city seems to just be a giant facade. Well, it's just to justify what we do. And it's like this. Why did we bother having an election for these people? They didn't have elected city council, city charter commissioners in some of the cities. He said, why don't we just hire this clown, give him $40,000 and let him do the charter and not pretend that we're doing something? See, we're pretending that Fall River people are dealing with the Fall River Charter when this guy is dealing with the charter.
Right. Well, and it's because it's required in the Mass General Law 43. And the funny part about it is this same gentleman and his organization is getting paid by the city to work out the details of what they call the Commonwealth Compact. And as you remember, earlier in last year, I attended several Commonwealth Compacts with various cities and towns. We're paying for it because, again, we're stupid. Because guess what? The Commonwealth has all the advisors necessary. That's what they do. But we're going to pay somebody to do it because we're too stupid to do it, to realize that all you got to do is call up Karen Polito's office and say, hey, we need somebody to help us down here write this thing. And she say, oh, yeah, no problem. We'll send somebody down right away. Really? So why are we paying this guy? He is reduplicating the services. Why? Because it's UMass Boston, and they need to get a revenue stream from somewhere. And who is in charge up at UMass Boston? Who was the king of studies and commissions? I wonder who that former mayor might be.
Wow. No. Follow the money and follow the connections. And yet, isn't it a surprise?
Nothing surprises me, that's for sure.
Well, again, people, vote tomorrow, please. Even if if you've never voted, and I don't vote in very many primaries, but just because this election is so great, we've got so many people upset. Let's go out there and let's shake the trees.
Definitely. Hey, have a great week, and we'll see you Wednesday.
Stay
Bye-bye.
angry.
Stay angry.